Hello everyone, I hope that you are getting my voice. Hello everyone. So dear students, this is a mathematics revision class. So I will be doing the revision of whatever we have discussed in mathematics. Let others also come, then we will start. Okay, so students, first of all we discussed about the complex numbers, if you remember. Complex numbers. After the complex numbers, we discussed about the calculus portion. After the calculus portion, then we moved to, the linear algebra. That is the matrices and determinants. Linear algebra. That is the matrices and determinants. Matrices and determinants. After the linear algebra portion, we discussed about, yes, good afternoon everyone, good afternoon. After the linear algebra portion, we discussed about the differential equation, numerical methods. After numerical, then we discussed the differential, right? Then we discussed about the numerical methods. After the numerical methods, we discussed about the differential equations. And after the differential equation, the last topic that we discussed, it was about the probability and stats. That is what we have discussed in the mathematics portion. So let us do the revision starting with the complex numbers first of all, then we will be proceeding in the same section in the same way that we have already done in the classes. Okay. So I am not much familiar with this board. Actually, this is a new board. So I might make some mistakes. This is the first mistake. Okay. So I might make some mistakes, students. No, this is fine. Okay. Let us start with the complex numbers. First chapter is complex numbers. Complex numbers. What are complex numbers? So for example, x square minus 1 is equal to 0. You will say that, sir, x is equal to plus minus 1, which is satisfying this particular equation. But if it is like this, x square plus 1 is equal to 0, right? Then there is no real number which satisfies this equation. So what I say? I will say that there is a particular number which is called as the iota. Iota is equal to root of minus 1, which will satisfy this equation. And any number which is in this form, in the form of iota, is said to be as a complex number. So any number z, it has two portions. One is the real portion and one is the complex portion. So this is called the complex part. And this is called as a real part. And how to represent a complex number in the Argand plane, we already know that. For example, this is some axis. Then on the x-axis we represent the real part, and on the y-axis we represent the imaginary part. So if some number is 2 plus 3 times of I, it can be represented as x is equals to 2. So x is equals to 2 will be somewhere from here. This is 0, 0. 2 will be somewhere from here, and y is equal to 3. So this is my 3 and this is my 2. This is my 2 comma 3. So any number can be represented in this form also. You can also represent a number. So for example, this is my x, this is my y, this is my theta, and this is my r. You can also say that x is equal to r cos theta and y is equal to r sin theta. If you put these values, you will be getting z is equals to r cos theta plus I sin theta, and you can also represent a complex number in r into e raised to the power I into theta. That is also you can represent a particular complex number that we already know. After this particular thing, what we discussed about the representation of the complex number that I have already told you, and what is the argument, right? Argument. Argument is your theta. This angle theta is actually called as the argument. This angle theta. So theta will be equal to tan inverse of y upon x. It is actually called as the argument or ARG. Then we have one more property that is called as the additive x1 plus iy1, and one complex number is x2 y2. Then z1 plus z2 will be equal to real plus real part and plus I times of imaginary and plus imaginary part, right? So it will be equal to x1 plus x2 plus I times of y1 and plus y2. That is how we can do the addition. Similarly, if we have subtraction here, it will be subtraction here. This is also what we discussed in the properties. Then the second property is called as the conjugate. So for example, a z number is like this, x plus iy, then z bar will be equal to x minus iy. This is called as the conjugate of a complex number. After the conjugate, I told you that there are some properties which will be beneficial for us in calculation of everything, right? So first of all, I told you the expression for sin x. So with the help of Taylor series also you can derive it. So sin x is equals to x minus, with the help of Taylor series also you can derive it, x cube by 3 factorial plus, this is 3 factorial plus x raised to the power whole 5 divided by 5 factorial minus x raised to the power whole 7 divided by 7 factorial and so on. Similarly, cos x will be equal to 1 minus x square by 2 factorial plus x raised to the power whole 4 upon 4 factorial minus x raised to the power whole 6 upon 6 factorial and plus so on. Number 3 is e raised to the power x. E raised to the power x is defined as 1 plus x square upon 2 factorial plus x cube upon 3 factorial plus x4 upon 4 factorial and so on. If you replace x with iota y, you will be getting 1 plus iota y. X square will be 1 upon y square upon 2 factorial, okay, and minus iota y upon 3 factorial plus y4 upon 4 factorial and so on. If you take out it common, then this e raised to the power I into y, it can be represented by taking some things common, cos y plus I sin y. This is also that we have already discussed. Clear? After this, I also told you that cos y can also be represented as e raised to the power iy plus e raised to the power minus iy divided by 2, and sin y can be represented as e raised to power iy minus e raised to power minus iy divided by 2. I is root of minus 1. This is also what we have discussed in the previous things. After this, I told you that sometimes hyperbolic function will also be useful to you. Hyperbolic function, that is sin hyperbolic x and cos hyperbolic x. I told you that these two values are, so with the same, just remove this, so it will be equal to e raised to power x minus e raised to power minus x divided by 2. It will be e raised to power x and plus e raised to power minus x divided by 2. So all these functions will be useful, whether it is complex, whether it is calculus, everywhere all these functions will be useful. Then how to divide a complex number also I told you. For example, a complex number is given to you as, for example, it is given to you as like this. For example, a complex number is like this: 5 minus 3i divided by 5 plus 4i. And somebody is saying that what is the exact value of this complex number. So what you will do is that I have already told you, you will multiply it with the denominator. You will multiply it with the, just wait a second, yeah, you will multiply it with the denominator 1 minus 4 times of I upon 5 minus 4 times of I, and you will be getting 5 minus 3 times of iota, 5 minus 4 times of iota divided by 5 square, a square minus b square, 4 times of I square, right? And you will be getting 5 into 5 is 25 plus 16 is 39, and it will be plus, right? Divided in the numerator, you will be having 25 minus 20i and minus 15i and plus 4 into 3 is 12, so it will be minus of 12. Okay, you just solve it, you will get the answer. So that is how we solve the denominator problems. Sir, in denominator of sin x 1 also, in denominator of sin x 1 also. Where? In denominator of sin x 1 also. Where? Where are you talking about? Denominator sin x, it is x minus x cube by 3 factorial plus x5, that is correct. Cos x is 1 minus x square upon 2 factorial plus x4, that is also correct. Where are you talking about? I didn't get you. So in denominator of sin x I also, denominator of sin x I, denominator of sin x I, sorry, denominator of sin x, denominator of sin x I. Okay, so you are saying like this, that we have sin x upon I, is it so? That we have sin x upon I. So first of all, you have to convert it. So first of all, iota. Yes, first of all you have to convert it, because in the above we have the polar form. In the above we have the polar form. Denominator we have the imaginary form. So first of all you have to convert either both into imaginary, or you can say both into polar. First of all you have to convert it, right? So how do we have to convert it? So this thing, that is e raised to the power, it will be equal to sin x and plus I cos x. So it will be equal to what? It will be equal to, let me do one thing, that is sin x plus cos x, or you can say sin x plus cos x, and let me do it like this, that is sin x plus cos x minus cos x, right, divided by I, or you can also do it like this, that it is a just sin x. Okay, it is just sin x. Just wait a second. You can also do it like this. For example, you have a question like this, that is sin x upon I, right? You have like this, right, that you have sin x upon I. So first of all you do one thing, that is we know that sin x is equal to e raised to the power iy minus e raised to the power minus iy, e raised to the power iy minus e raised to power minus iy divided by 2, that is the value of sine x. Okay, and what is this I? You can also expand it, or not. You can also expand it. You can also expand. So this can be written as, and this I can be written as e raised to the power, that is your theta, right? E raised to power I into theta. So tan theta will be equal to perpendicular, that is my 1, okay, and that is by 0. So theta will be equal to pi by 2. Theta will be equal to pi by 2. If theta is equals to pi by 2, then I can be written as e raised to the power I into pi by 2. It can be written as cos of pi by 2 plus I sine of pi by 2. Okay, you can also write it like this. So this sine x upon I can be written as e raised to the power iy minus e raised to the power minus iy divided by 2 times of I. What is this I now? E raised to the power I pi by 2. E raised to the power I pi by 2. Now do one thing. You multiply. Just multiply here. What is happening here? Just wait a second. Just multiply here the numerator and both the denominator by e raised to the power ix, because it is x here, so it is x here, minus e raised to the power minus ix divided by 2 into e raised to the power minus I pi by 2 divided by e raised to the power minus I pi by 2, and e raised to the power I pi by 2. You can do it like this. Okay, if you do it like this, okay, sir, sine y is equals to, okay, so sorry. Oh, just so you were asking a different thing. Okay, sorry. You were asking a different thing. Let me see it. E raised to power iy minus e raised to power minus iy. So it will be equal to cos x plus sine x, cos y plus sine y plus I sine y minus cos of minus x, right? Cos of minus x will be equal to minus of cos x. Yeah, it will be equal to 2i here. Okay, so sorry. I thought that you were asking some question. So the question is somewhat like this. Let us solve it, because since I am solving it, let us solve it, right? Let us solve it straight away. So I am solving it already. Where it was? Yeah, it is here. So it will be equal to what? It will be equal to, let us, if you multiply it, it will be equal to e raised to the power I. So e raised to the power I x minus pi by 2 minus e raised to the power I e raised to the power minus I x plus pi by 2, minus I common, x plus pi by 2 divided by, because it will be e raised to power 0, it will be equal to 2. So what it will be? It will be equal to what? It will be equal to what is e raised to power? It will be equal to cos of, and 2i will also be here, cos of. Okay, now let me do one thing. Let me multiply both the sides with I also, because here it is I also. It is I also here, right? It is I also here. Okay, just wait a second. I have done some mistake here. So it is sin x will be equal to sin x upon I. It will be equal to sin x upon I. This will be equal to I will be what? Just solve like this. It will be equal to e raised to the power I x minus e raised to power minus ix divided by 2 times of I into I. Clear? It will be equal to e raised to the power minus ix and minus e raised to the power ix divided by 2 it will be. Just like this, okay, and you will be getting it, okay. Sorry dear students, I just did not see the properly what you were asking. You were asking that is it divided by I? Yes, it was divided by I here. It was divided by I here. Here it was divided by I here, right? So I did not see the question properly what you were asking. Okay, after this what we discussed was how to divide it. Yes, we discussed about the multiplication also. We discussed about the conjugate also. Then I told you about the cube root of unity, right? What is the cube root of unity? If this statement is like this, x cube is equal to 1, right? If x cube is equal to 1, it has three solutions. X is equals to 1, x is equals to omega, and x is equals to omega square. So we have three solutions, right? Now what is the value of this? You can say x is equals to omega. So x is equals to omega is minus 1, omega is minus 1 plus root 3 times of I and divided by 2, and the value of omega square is minus 1 minus root 3I divided by 2, and 1 plus omega square is equal to 1. So these are the cube roots of unity. One root is 1, one root is omega square. So these are the three cube roots of unity that we discuss in the class. After discussing about the cube roots of unity, we discuss about the square of a complex number. How to find the square of a complex number? Square root of a complex number. How to find the square root. And we also solved a few questions here. Why is it so thick? Why is it so thick? For example, you have to find the square root of x plus iy. You have to find the square root of x plus iy. Okay, so what do we say that it is equal to z? It will also be complex number. The square root of a complex number will also be a complex number. Okay, or let us say that, for example is, let us say that find square root of let us say it is 2 plus 3i. You have to find the square root of 2 plus 3i. So what do I say? I will say that the square root of 2 plus 3i will also be a complex number. Let us say it is equals to x plus iy. Then what do we do? Sir, sum of cube root of unity is equal to 0. Yes, it is 0. What have I written here? What have I written? Oh, sorry, 1 I have written. Okay, sorry, 0. Yes, it is 0. Okay. X plus iy. Now what did I tell you? I told you that you do the square of it. You will be getting x plus iy whole square will be equal to 2 3 times of I. You apply the formula, it will be equal to x square plus 2i xy plus y square will be equal to 2 plus 3 times of I. From here, what you are getting is that x square plus y square is equal to 2, the real part, and 2i xy is equal to 3, right? 3 times of I, you can say the imaginary part. So I will be saying that x into y is equal to 1.5, that is 3 by 2. So one equation this I have got and one equation this I have got. This is my equation number 1 and that is my equation number 2. Now what I told you is that you apply one rule, or you can say you apply one strategy. That strategy is that we know that x square plus y square whole square will be equal to x raised to the power whole 4 plus 2 x square y square plus y raised to the power whole 4. Okay, and then I told you that you do one thing, you add 2 x square y square and you subtract 2x square y square. It will not change its meaning. So this can be written as because this will become a formula then x4 and this will become a formula then. Okay, so you will be getting x square minus y square whole square plus 4 x square y square. You will be getting this formula, that is 4x square y square into and plus x square minus y square whole square. This thing will be converted into this particular formula. Now we know that x square plus y square is equal to 2. So you put it as equal to 2 here. This will be equal to 2, right? And you will be getting one more relation here. So this you are getting x square plus y square whole square is equal to x square minus y square and plus 4x square y square. X square plus y square is equal to what? It is equal to 2 and xy is equals to 1.5. So this is 2 whole square is equal to x square minus y square plus 4 times of 3 by 2 whole square. X square minus y square hoga when we open the whole square. If you open the whole square, it will be x square minus y square. Which one are you talking about? X square minus, yeah, you can do that also. You can do that also. If you want to open this x square minus y square in that way, you can open that also. You can do that also, right? There is no issue. So it will be equal to this. So 4 will get cancelled out here and this will be equal to 9. So x square minus y square will be equal to 4 and minus 4 getting cancelled out, minus 9, that will be equal to minus 5. So we have got one equation. This is equation number 3. This was my equation number 2 and this was my equation number 1. By using 1 and 3, so x square plus y square, it was equal to 2, and x square minus y square, it is equals to minus 5. Now let me do one thing. So now let me do one thing is that let me subtract these two. If you subtract these two, 2 times of y square will be equal to 7. And y will be equal to plus minus 7 divided by 2. This will be the value of y. Clear? Similarly, you can get the value of x also. Complex वाला रुको मैं चेक कर लेता हूँ मेरे को. Complex वाला this one, x plus iy square is equal to 2 plus 3y. Yes, correct. X square plus 2i xy plus y square is equal to 2 plus 3i. Yes, correct. Then we have, okay, by comparing it, x square plus y square is equal to 2, x square plus y square is equal to 2, and 2i xy is equal to 3i, so xy is equal to 1.5. Yes, correct. Then we have x square plus y square is equal to x4 plus 2x square y square plus y raised to the power whole 4 and plus this thing, okay, and okay, so here is the mistake. The mistake is that x plus iy, it is x plus x square plus 2y xy, and this is minus y. Sorry, this is the mistake here. This is minus axy minus y square. So this is the mistake here. If this is the mistake, minus y square here, then it will be equal to x square minus y square. This will be equal to x square minus y square is this, and this is equals to this. So okay, so it will be equal to x square minus y square, we have got it as 2, right? X square minus y square, we have got it as 2, and x square plus y square can be written as like this: x square minus y square is 2. So here I will be putting x square plus y square whole square is equals to 2 whole square plus 4 times of x into y is 3 by 2 whole square. So it will be equal to 2 into 2 is 4, and 4 plus 4 getting 9, that is equals to 13. So x square plus y square is equals to plus minus under root of 13. Okay, so you are talking about this, right? So we have got x square plus y square is equals to plus minus 13, and we have got x square minus y square is equals to 2. We have got x square plus y square is equals to plus minus under root of 13, plus minus under root of 13, and this is equals to x square minus y square is equals to 2. So you are talking about this, right? So the square of two numbers cannot be negative. Let us neglect sign. So we have got two equations now, that is x square to root 13 and x square minus y square is equal to 2. So by using these two equations, you just find out the values of x and y, and you will be getting the values of x and y in plus minus. Now whether it should be plus or whether it should be minus, it will be told you by this equation number 2. So either both should be negative or both should be positive, then only you will have a positive sign here. Okay, so while calculating the values of x and y, just cross check whether you are putting one as negative and one as positive, because both either should be negative or both either should be positive, and then you will be getting the value of 1.5. Okay, there might be some mistakes. See, there might be some calculation mistakes, okay, but the procedure is like this. There might be some calculation mistakes. I know, dear students, that I have done this mistake, that is x plus iy, okay, whole square, it will be equal to x square minus y square and plus 2ixy, but here I had written here plus. So there might be some calculation mistake, but this is the procedure. How do we calculate the square root of a complex number? There is a trick also. The trick is that if options are given to you, just do the square of the options. Just do the square of the options, and whatever is satisfying the equation will be the square root of that particular question. Okay. Complex wala. I understood, students, that I did some calculation mistake, some silly calculation mistake there, right? I know that. Okay. After the square root, students, what did we study was, after this square root, okay, do one thing. Question is, find the square root of 5i. You find the square root of 5i. Square root. Now what will be the square root of 5i? You tell me that. Waiting for the answers. What will be the square root of 5i? So you also try to solve it. Let square root of 5 times of I is equal to x plus I y. Do the square. 5 times of I will be equal to x square minus y square and plus 2i x y. By comparing, x square minus y square is equal to 0, because here we do not have any real part, and 2i xy will be equal to 5i, or xy will be equal to 5 divided by 2. This is equation number 1 we are getting, and this is the equation number 2 that we are getting. After this, what we have to do is that, as I already told you, just find the square of x square plus, because we want one more equation, right? So you will be saying that, sir, x square plus y square whole square can be written as x square minus y square whole square plus 4i x y. This can be written like this. Okay, this can be written like this. Okay, now if you put the values of 1 here, what is the value of 2 here? X square minus y square, that is 0 square, and plus 4i, what is xy? That is 5 by 2. 2 into 2 is 4, that is equal to 10 times of I. So x square plus x square ixy, yes, xy is equals to 5 by 2, xy is equals to 5 by 2 to 2 into, yes, correct. So x square plus y square, right, whole square, it is equal to 10. Oh, sorry. This is where this I coming. Sorry, not I. It will be equal to 10. So I will say that x square plus y square will be equal to square root of 10 and plus minus square root of 10. This is the equation number 3 I am getting. So I know that the square of two numbers cannot be a negative value. So it has to be a positive value, right? So I will say that x square plus y square will be equal to square root of 10. This is my 3 modified equation, 3m. After this, so we have two equations now. One is x square minus y square is equal to 0, and one is x square plus y square is equal to square root of 10. Let me add these two. If you add these two, you will be getting 2x square is equal to square root of 10, and you will be getting x square will be equal to square root of 10 divided by 2, and x will be equal to square root of 10 divided by 2 raised to the power 1 by 2, right? Yes. Square root of, yes. Okay. So x will be equal to what? X will be equal to plus minus square root of 10 divided by 2 raised to the power 1 by 2. Raised to the power 1 by 2. Similarly, you will get the value of y, okay, and then you will see whether it should be positive or negative with the help of equation number 1. So in equation number 1, x into y is a positive value. So either both should be negative or both should be positive. So with the help of this, you can get the answer of this question. Yes. Yes, very good, very good. So that is how we have to solve the square root type of questions. After the square root, dear students, we discussed about the complex plane, how to represent a particular function in a complex plane, that I have already told you, right? How to change it in the polar form, that is a very simple thing. Okay, after this, what we discussed was, after this, the argument and modulus, okay, that is also we discussed, argument, how to find the argument, how to find the modulus. Then we moved to the complex variable function. After this, we moved to the complex variable function. Complex variable function. Complex variable function. In the complex variable function, dear students, so what I told you is that, I told you, for example, let us say that you have a function z is equals to, a complex number is this. If you apply, let us say the function is a square function, or you can say that z square it is. You will say that, sir, it will be equal to x square minus y square plus 2i xy. So this is the real part. The real part is a function of x comma y, and the imaginary part is also a function of x comma y. So this type of function is called as a complex function. Now what is the complex function here? The complex function is z square. Z square is a complex function, and z is a complex number. Z is a complex number and z square is a complex function. In the complex function, students, so what we discussed was, we discussed about, this is function 1, this is function 2. You can call it as uxy and you can call it as vxy, because we have some two different functions. One is a multiplication function, one is a square differentiation. Okay, after this we discussed was the analytical function. analytical function. A function is said to be as an analytical function. First of all, it has to be a single valued function. Single valued function. And second thing is that single valued function, continuous, differentiable, all those things, right? And second thing is that it should satisfy the CR equation or the Cauchy-Riemann equations. It should satisfy the CR equations. Now what are the various CR equations? The first CR equation was dou u upon dou x is equal to dou v upon dou y, right? Dou u upon dou x is equals to dou v upon dou y, and dou u upon dou y and dou u upon dou y is equal to negative of dou v upon dou x. So these two equations are the CR equations. If a particular function satisfy, what is the value of u? U is the real function. U is the real function and v is the imaginary function, right? If a particular equation satisfies these two conditions, it is said to be as an analytical. If a particular function satisfies these two conditions, it is said to be as a analytical, single valued, continuous, differentiable, and so on. After this we discussed, after this we solved a few questions, okay, and we determined whether these are the analytical functions or not. And the first example that we did was, so this was the first example, that is f of z, it is equals to 1 by z, where z is equals to x plus iy. So we have to see whether it is analytical or not, and I told you that how to solve it. That is f of z will be equal to 1 upon x plus I into y, then you will multiply it with x minus I into y upon x minus I into y. Then you further solve it, you will be getting a real part and plus iv. One imaginary function, one real function will be a function of, u will be a function of x comma y and v will also be a function of x comma y. I will be getting two functions. I will be then seeing whether it is continuous or not, and then I will be applying the CR equations, and with the help of this I will come out to know whether it is an analytical function or not. And the answer which was coming, that yes, it is analytical in nature. It is analytical. Okay. Okay, then we have the harmonic functions, the functions which satisfy the Laplace equation, right? That is dou square f upon dou x square and plus dou square f upon dou y square. If it is equal to 0, if it satisfies the Laplace equation, we say it is a harmonic function. It is said to be as a harmonic function. Then how to form an analytic, how to form a complex function from, if something is given that these two u and v are analytic, how to form a complex function from that. So we have two things, right? First thing is that if you want to form an analytical function, if you want to make an analytical function in the terms of x and y, you just apply these equations. Just apply these equations and you will be getting a function of z in x and y, in x comma y plus I x comma y. You will be getting a function in terms of x comma y. But in options, if you have to find an analytical function which is in terms of z, you must have found that f of z, it is equal to z square plus iz and plus so on. If you want to find an analytical function in the form of z, okay, the complex function, we apply the Milnez method. Now what is the Milnez method? In Milnez method I gave you a formula. So first of all we have some steps. The step number 1 was, write u. What is the value? U will be given to you, right? U will be given to, write u, right? And find dou u upon dou x. That was the first step, and dou u upon dou y also, and dou u upon dou y. What is the meaning of dou? That partial derivative. Step number 2. After writing this, I told you that put x is equals to z and y is equals to 0. Put x is equals to z and y is equal to 0 in the Milne's method. Okay? In this. Whatever you have got, put x is equals to z and y is equals to 0. Step number 3 was to apply the Milne's formula. What was the Milne's formula? The Milne's formula was f of z, the function of z, it is equals to integration of dou u upon dou x, and you have to put x is equals to z and y equal to 0. Okay, dx minus, sorry, dz, not dx, because it will be in the form of z here. So it is not, it has to be dz here. 0, sorry, z comma 0 dz minus integration of dou u upon dou y z comma 0, I is also there, dou u upon dou y z comma 0 dz. So this is the Milne's method, and from this particular method some questions have been asked in previous year GATE examination. So it is an important formula, right? It is an important formula. If you do not want to remember step number 2, that is also totally fine. Just remember this formula. So dou u upon dou x z comma 0 dz minus iota dou u upon dou y z comma 0 dz, and plus some constant will also be there, plus some c constant. So whatever the function you will be getting in this form, z square something, you will be getting in the form of z. If you want to determine the analytical function in the form of x and y, just apply the CR equations, the CR equation conditions, and you will be getting the analytical function in the form of x comma y. After the Milne's method, we also solved a few questions on the Milne's method. After the Milne's method, what we discussed about the polar form of the We discussed about the polar form of a complex function, of you can say of CR equations or the analytical functions, or you can say polar form of the CR equations. CR equations ki polar form, right? In the polar form, I told you that dou u upon dou theta, it should be, how it has been derived, not going in detail in that, we already derived this in the class, minus r. This was the first end result that we were getting, and dou v upon dou theta, it is equal to r dou u upon dou r, dou u upon dou r, dou u upon dou r. That is also we discussed in the class. How it has been derived, I already told you that, right? And dou v upon dou r, dou theta, it is equal to minus 1 upon r dou u upon dou theta. The last was dou u upon dou r is equals to 1 upon r dou v upon dou theta. So these were the four forms, the four polar forms that we discussed in the class. Okay, sir, V given ho to how to make an analytical function. See, if V is given, now generally V is not given, but if V is given, this formula is changed. If V is given, what do we do is that it becomes dou V upon dou Y 0, Z into I, and plus dou V upon dou X 0, Z dz. That is what it becomes if V is given. but generally v is not given. Generally this you can say this only u is given, but if v is given, you can apply this formula. It is just opposite of that. Just apply multiply the first with I, it will be plus, it will be y, and it will be x, like this. Clear? But Milne's original formula is only and only for this case, that is this case. But even if v is given, you can apply this formula and you will get it. Okay. Let me check it. I here, yes, correct. V upon y, 0 z, yes, correct. And here it will be plus here, so plus here. Dou v upon dou x, dou v upon, yeah, 0 z, yeah, correct. Okay, after this, we discussed about the complex integration. Then we moved to the complex integration, how a complex number is integrated. Complex integration. In complex integration, we generally go with the line integration. That is, we move along the path. Line integration. That is, we move along the path, whatever the path is given. So if z is x plus iy, dz will be equal to dx plus I dy, that we already know. Okay, if you want to do the integration, either you convert everything into x or either you convert everything into y, and then you go as per the limits, you will be getting the answer. Okay, so that is what we have discussed already. Now, for example, we also solved a question also, I guess. The question was integration from 0 to 2 plus I, because this question has been asked many times in many GATE examinations. Z conjugate whole square dz, you have to do the integration of this thing. Okay, first of all, plot these points. So what are these points? This is the argand plane. So x is equals to 0 will be here. This is my x equals to 0 here. This will be my y is equals to 1 here. So actually we have to go to this particular thing. This is the thing which is given. We have to go like this. So how do we have to solve it? So I told you that z is equals to x plus I y. Find the conjugate. It will be x minus iy whole square. Dz will be equal to dx plus I dy. Integration from 0 to 2 plus I. Now, you can also say 0 plus 0i. Now, convert either everything into x or convert everything into y. It depends on you. What do you want to do? Okay, so this is my x, this is my 2, 0, and this is my 1, 0, 1, Okay, this is my 2, 1. Now here, I can write the equation of this line. Either you go from here, or you directly go from here to here. That all is the same thing. So I told you that convert everything into this, right? So the equation of this line will ultimately be equal to this y is equal to 0 when x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 1 when x is equals to 2. It will be equal to x by 2. So this will be the equation of this line. The equation of this line will be y is equals to x by 2. I can say that x is equals to 2 times of y. Dx will be equal to 2 times of d into y. And x is going from 0 to 2 and y is going from 0 to 1. Now either you convert everything into x or everything into y. First of all, let me open this bracket. It will be equal to x square plus y square, okay, minus 2i x y into dx. Let me convert everything into, you can say x. Let me convert everything into x. That is dx and plus I. dy is what? Dy is dx by 2 and dx is equal to 2 dy. So let us convert everything into y itself. Because y will be equal to x by 2, right? Y will be equal to, x will be equal to 2 times of y. It will be simpler for me. So it will be dx plus I times of dy, and dy is dx by 2. Dx by 2. Okay, now integration will go from where to where the integration will go, because everything has been converted into x. It will go from 0 to 2. If everything has been converted into x, it will go from 0 to 2. If everything has been converted into y, it will go from 0 to 1. Okay. Now x is equals to 2 times of y. X is equals to 2 times of y whole square plus y whole square plus y whole square. Oh, sorry. Simpler will convert everything into y, because it is dx 2 dy. Simpler convert everything into y. Dx is 2 dy and plus I dy. Yeah, it will be simpler. The limit will go from 0 to 1. Otherwise, it will come in fraction. Integration from 0 to 1. Y square minus 2 times of x is equals to 2 times of y. 2 times of y into I. And here we have 2 times of dy plus I times of dy. Now you can easily solve it. Now how to solve it, I have already told you, because now everything has been converted in terms of y. You can easily solve it. Clear? The answer of this question was, let me check the answer. It was 5 by 3 2 minus I. I guess that this also I solved in the class. 5 by 3 2 minus I was the answer of this question. You can now easily solve it, because everything has been converted directly. You can also solve it in one more way, but that will be a little bit typical way. The typical way will be, if you are going from here to here, right? But in question it is not mentioned. In question it was mentioned that it is from 0 to 2 plus I, you can directly solve it. But sometimes in question it is also mentioned that first of all you have to go from here to here, then you have to go from here to here. So if you are going from here to here, let us 0, this is O, this is A, and this is B. If you are going from OA, in the path OA, y will be equal to 0. If y will be equal to 0, dy will be equal to 0. Clear? And x goes from 0 to 2. This is what is happening in OA. In OB path, what is happening is that in OB path, x is equal to 2 and dx will be equal to 0. And y is going from 0 to 1. So sometimes in examination it is also given, integrate this thing, but first of all going from 0 to A and then going from A to B. Sometimes this type of questions are also there in the examination. So in that type of case you have to go like this. Then we solved some questions on this, okay. After this, students, we came to this conclusion that if f of z is some linear function, it is very simple to do the integration. Now, if f of z is somewhat like this, 1 upon z minus 1, what do we do? Okay, and we have to integrate this function along a particular curve, right? Along a particular curve, we have to integrate this function. We always go in the anti-clockwise manner. Why do we go? That I have already told you. So if we have to integrate it, then we have the Cauchy theorem and the Cauchy integral formula. We have the Cauchy theorem and the Cauchy integral formula. Cauchy theorem and Cauchy integral formula. So if f of z is equal to 1 upon z minus 1, z minus 2, like this, z minus 2 only, right? Then I will say that at z equal to 1 and z equal to 2, this function f of z, it is not defined, because it will become 1 upon 0, that is infinity, not defined. So I will say that these 2 points are actually called as the singularity. These 2 points are the singularity or singular points. Singular points, because at these 2 points the function is not defined. Then I will see whether these 2 points are lying inside or whether these 2 points are lying outside. Okay, if these 2 points are lying inside and if these 2 points are lying outside, I told you that how do we have to solve it. So what is the Cauchy's integral formula? That is, if f of z is some function given to you, let us say it is 1 upon z minus 1, and the singular point z equal to 1, it is lying somewhere outside, then from the Cauchy's integral formula, integration of f of z dz, it is directly equal to 0. Without applying any brain, it is directly equal to 0. That is what the Cauchy integral formula was all about. Sorry, Cauchy's formula or Cauchy's theorem was all about. Okay, now the question is, if it is lying inside, right? If it is lying inside, then what will happen? For example, if it is lying inside, then what do we apply is that integral of f of z dz, it is equals to 2 pi I into the value of the function at that particular singularity. The value of that function at that particular, let us say it is z minus a. So singularity is a, right? Now here I told you that you take the value of this function, the numerator is the function now. In the case of residues, the whole thing is a function. But in the case of this Cauchy integral formula, the numerator is a function. So it will be 2 pi I into f of a. And I also told you that you might also have something like this. It is cube, or it is 4, or it is 6. See, you can solve these equations very easily with the help of theorem of residue also. With the theorem of residue also. But if you don't want to solve with residue, you can apply the Cauchy integral formula also, because both are interrelated. So I can say Cauchy integral formula is a subset of residue theorem. So if you have something like this, f of z, and in denominator you have z minus a raised to the power some n dz. I told you that this thing can be directly written as 2 pi I upon n minus 1 factorial into f, how many times derivative? Dn minus 1, n times of derivative dn minus 1 upon dz n minus 1 f of a. F of a. Or you can say it is f of z, where put the limit as z is equals to a. I can also write it like this. After this, we discuss about the types of singularities. We have the isolated singularity, removable singularity, essential singularity, and we have a pole also. That is what we discussed. Okay. Now, dear students, after this, after discussing about the pole, which is very important. Okay. Now, what we discussed was the residue theorem. The residue theorem we discussed. Okay, so pole was very important. So in case of pole, I told you that a particular singularity z is equals to z naught is said to be as pole is because I feel that there might be some question from this. Calculate the pole of this particular function f of z, some function will be given, is said to be as a pole if z is equals to z naught is said to be as a pole if limit z a naught is the singularity, right? Z is tending to a naught, z minus a naught raised to the power m into f of z is finite and exist. It is said to be as a pole because from pole itself we are getting the residue theorem, right? The residue theorem we are getting from the pole itself. So this was the formula, this was the, you can say a singularity is said to be as a pole if it is satisfy this equation, okay? For example, you have a function f of z is equal to 1 upon z, you can say z minus a naught raised to the power n, something like this. You have something like this, okay? Then this is said to be as a singularity and numerator you have some f of z here. It is said to be as a pole if limit z tending to a naught f of z, it becomes equal to this. It becomes equal to this. So let me do it like this because I have made a silly mistake here. This is also f of z, this is also f of z. I have made a silly mistake. It is somewhat, it is one only. It is one only. Then we discussed about the residue theorem. Residue theorem, why do we use the residue theorem? Now, we know that if it is 1 upon z minus a, you can apply the Cauchy theorem. If it is 1 upon z minus a and it is lying, this a point is lying inside, we can apply the Cauchy integral formula. If it is 1 upon z minus a raised to the power n, we can apply the Cauchy integral general formula. But if the function of z is like this, 1 upon z minus 1, z minus 2, z minus 3, z minus 4 and so on, and if all the things are lying inside the particular curve, what will happen? So what do we use that? We apply the residue theorem there. So residue at pole z naught, at pole z naught, it is equals to residue at z naught is equal to, just like the pole itself, limit z tending to z naught, limit z tending to z naught, z minus z naught f of z. And if we have a lot of residues, you just keep on adding all the residues, right? The residue at z is equals to z naught plus z1, z2, z3, z4. You keep on adding all the residues and you will be ultimately getting the equation. You will ultimately be getting the integral basically. So this is what the residue theorem was all about. You can say that integral from, in a closed interval, f of z dz, it is equals to 2 pi I into summation of all the residues. Summation of all the residues. This was the theorem basically, residue theorem. And we also solved some questions on this, and how do we find the residue also, that I have already told in the class also. After this, I told you about the inequality in complex number also. So inequality is also very simple. Inequality in complex numbers. It's a very small topic. Inequality in a complex number. Just write down this thing. For example, this is my complex number Z1. This is my complex number Z2. So you know that the sum of two sides in a triangle should be greater than the third side. Okay. And ultimately we got some results. I'm directly writing the results. What you had got. That is Z1. Some results were there. Let me write the results. That is Z1. Okay. So this is my Z1 and this is my Z2. Like this. Z1 plus Z2. Mod. Now what is the Z1 plus Z2? This is my Z1 plus Z2. This will be Z1 by Z1 plus Z2. Z1 plus Z2 will be somewhere here. So it should be smaller than mod of Z1 plus mod of Z2. This was the first inequality which we solved. After this I told you that Z1 minus Z2 minus Z2 should be less than mod of Z1 plus mod of Z2. This is the second inequality that we solved. If you combine these two, what we can say is that mod of Z1 plus minus Z2, it should be smaller than mod of Z1 plus mod of Z2. This is the third inequality that we discussed in the class itself. After this, we also discussed that mod of Z1 minus mod of Z2, it should be smaller than mod of Z1 minus Z2. See, if in examination some question is coming from this particular topic, what type of question can be there? So there will be a table type of question. Okay, so mod of Z1 plus mod of Z2 is equal to what? Is equal to what, or it should be less than what? It should be less than, here we have less than mod of Z1 plus mod of, some table type of question might also be there. Or there might also be a question like this, that mod of Z1 plus Z2 should be greater than or should be smaller than option number A, option number B, option number C and option number D. So these types of questions might be there in examination. Okay, this was the third, this was the fourth inequality that we discussed in the class. After this, I also told you that mod of Z1 minus mod of Z2 mod, it should be less than mod of Z1. We also discussed this thing. This is my question number 5. So that is what we have already discussed in the classes, also in the complex inequalities. These are the various complex inequalities. Oh, चाय आ गई, मेरे को पता ही नहीं चला, इधर ठंडी हो गई. So let us solve a question, dear students, and then we will finish it completely. The question is, let me see a question here. Okay, the question is, evaluate integration of z square plus 5 divided by z minus 3. Let me check it. Yes, z minus 3 and z plus 3. Right, dz, where mod of z plus 1 is equals to 2. Mod of z plus 1 is equal to 2. Right, along this curve C, where C is this, mod of z plus 1 is equals to 2. So the radius of this circle, if you draw this circle, the radius of this circle is 2. And at x is equals to -1 and y is equals to 0, it is satisfying. It is satisfying the equation, right? For example, if you put it like this, so it will be equal to what? It will be equal to you know that x square plus y square is equal to the radius whole square. X square plus y square is equal to the radius whole square. So clearly, if you see this clearly, the radius is equals to 2. The radius is equals to 2, and the center of this circle will lie at x is equals to x plus 1 is equals to 0. At y equal to 0, it should be equal to this. It will lie at x is equals to -1 and y is equal to 0. Y is equal to 0. At x is equals to -1 and at y is equals to 0, its center will lie. So its center will lie somewhere here. Its center will lie somewhere here, that is -1, 0, and it has a radius of 2. So if you draw a circle of radius 2, this is -1, this will be 0, and this will be 1, 0. This will be 1, 0. Here we have 2, 0. Okay, you draw it like this, and here we have -3, 0, and here you will have -2, 0. So these are the ordinates. So this is the center of the circle. If you, by putting the center, if you draw a circle, it will be somewhat like this, passing from here. It will be somewhat like this. This will be a circle. Now what are the singular points we have? So z is equals to, at z is so what are the singularity of this particular function? The singularity will be at z is equal to 3 is the singularity, and z is equals to -3 is the singularity. -3 is the singularity. Z is equals to +3 and z is equals to -3 is the singularity. So z is equals to -3. -3 is lying on the circle, it will be counted. Z is equals to 3 is lying somewhere here, it will not be counted. So I will say that the integration along this path C, f of z dz divided by we have this z minus whatever it is, z minus a, z minus b, whatever it is. So it will be equal to 2 pi I into residue at z is equal to what? Z is equals to -3. Residue at z is equals to -3. Now f of z will be the whole function then. I told you in the residue, f of z is the whole function. If you apply the formula, it will be 2 pi I. What is the meaning of residue? Residue means limit z tending to -3, z minus a. Z minus -3 will be z plus 3. Z plus 3. F of z is the whole function. What is the whole function here? That is z square plus 5. Z square plus 5 divided by z minus 3 and z plus 3. So z plus 3 will be eliminated. If it is eliminated, it will be equal to 2 pi I limit z tending to -3 z square plus 5 divided by z minus 3. Let us put z is equals to -3 here. If you put z is equals to -3, so 2 pi I into -3 whole square plus 5 divided by -6. It will be equal to 3 into 3 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 into 2 is 28 pi I negative divided by 6. 2, 3, 6. Then we have 2 into 4. So we have minus 14 pi I divided by 3. That is how we have to solve it with the help of residue theorem. Okay, so this was all about the complex. After the complex portion, students, we started the calculus part. Number 2 was the calculus part. Calculus. In calculus, the first topic was limit, continuity, and differentiability. This was the first topic. First of all, we discussed the limit. How do we get the, I'm not going the concept, what is the meaning of this limit, right? Left hand limit is equals to right hand limit, not going there. We directly started with the L'Hospital's rule. L'Hospital's rule. What is the meaning of L'Hospital rule? That is limit x tending to, you can say, limit x tending to some value a, b, c, d, x tending to some value f of x divided by, if this becomes infinity by infinity form or 0 by 0 form, then what do we do is that we apply the L'Hospital's rule. So it will be equal to limit x tending to a f dash of x divided by g dash of x. Again, if it is coming in this form, then we apply the double derivative, right? Limit x tending to a f double dash at x divided by g double dash x, limit x tending to a. Clear? So we keep on applying it until and unless we do not get a particular exact value. Okay, it can also be not defined value, but generally we are getting an exact value. And how this L'Hospital rule has been derived? I told you that with the help of Taylor's theorem it has been derived. Let us solve a few questions here. Okay, and one more thing, this cannot be applied for this form 0 0, right, or 1 raised to power infinity, or 0 raised to power infinity, or 0 raised to power minus infinity. For this particular form, this L'Hospital rule cannot be applied. First of all, you have to convert this thing either in the infinity by infinity form or 0 by 0 form, and then only you can apply the L'Hospital's rule. For that we have a lot of methods. Take the logarithm, or with the help of series method you solve it, right? We have a lot of methods for that. Let us solve one question. The question is, so this is the question. Now let me try to modify it. See, this question might be wrong also because I am modifying it. Okay, limit x tending to 0 cos x upon x, let us say it is x square. Okay, and here we have 1 upon x square. I am modifying a question. Actually, it was in the question, it was sin x something. I am modifying it. Okay, not x square. Let us say it is x only. Let us say it is x only, not x square. It is x only here. At the denominator, it is x only. For example, it is x only. So we have to apply limit x tending to 0. If you put 0 here, it is 1. It is 1 upon 0 raised to the power infinity. Again, it is not that form which can be used for this, the L'Hospital's rule. So we have to modify it a little bit. Let us say it is equal to y. Now let me try to find out the value of log y. So log y will be equal to 1 upon x square will come here, and it will be equal to 1 upon x square will come here. It will be equal to log of cos x divided by x. Cos x divided by x. limit extending to 0, I'm not writing it, right? Log of y will be equal to cos x can be expanded in the form which I just told you in the complex also. So cos x can be written as 1 minus 1 upon x square, because even if you put here 0, again it is not defined. Log of, now cos x can be 1 minus x square upon 2 factorial, yes correct, 1 minus x square upon 2 factorial plus x cube upon plus x4 upon 4 factorial minus x6 upon 6 factorial and so on, and divided by, we have x here. So we have x here, right? If you put x is equals to 0 here, yeah, I told you that this question, okay, because I am just assuming it, so it cannot be solved like this. It cannot be solved. It cannot be solved. It cannot be solved. It cannot be solved. It cannot be solved like this. It will be not defined actually, right? Because it is not going to ultimately give me a converging result. It is going to give me a diverging result. So it cannot be solved, because here if you put x equals to 0 here, it will be, if you put x equals to 0 here, what it will be, log of 1 is 0, log of 0, so 0 by 0 form, so 0 is infinity by 0 form, it will be infinity by 0 form, infinity by 0 form, so it will be 0 by 0, that is, yes, it cannot be solved like this. If it would have been sin x, then this x would have easily got cancelled out and we have got the answer. It was coming out to be, I guess, 1 upon this thing, and it will be equal to 1 upon, I guess, because here it will be 3 factorial. If it is sin it will be 3 factorial, it will be 6. So minus 1 by 6 something will be the correct answer. But here, if this is x, yeah, it will be not defined. Not defined, you will not be getting an answer, right? Limit does not exist. Limit does not exist. Does not exist. So this will be the correct answer of this, that the limit will not exist. Now let us try to solve one more question with the same methodology. Let me try to solve one more question. The question is okay, this is because sin x upon x question we already solved in the class, so that question I'm not going to solve in the class again. So let me try to solve some other question. This is okay, limit, okay, tan x here. Okay, let us try to solve this question. Question is limit x tending to pi by 2, limit x tending to pi by 2. We have limit x tending to pi by 2 and cos x divided by x minus pi by 2. Cos x divided by x minus pi by 2. You try to solve it. Now if you put pi by 2 here, it is 0. If you put pi by 2 here, it is 0. So it is 0 by 0 form. We can easily apply the L'Hospital's rule. So limit x tending to pi by 2. So the derivative of cos x will be minus sin x. Derivative of the denominator will be equal to 1. It will be equal to minus 1 will be the correct answer of this question. So very easy that is. It is very easy, not a difficult question. Because all these questions I have already solved in the class, so I am not going to solve these questions again. I was looking for some other new question, but it was a very simple question. Okay, so whatever. After this, we discuss about the Taylor series. Then we move to the Taylor series. Taylor's series. So in Taylor series, I told you that any function which is f of a plus h f of a plus h, it can be represented in the ascending powers of h. That is, it can be represented as f of a plus h, f dash of a plus h square divided by 2 factorial f dash double dash of a plus h cube divided by 3 factorial f triple dash of a and plus so on. So any function can be represented in the ascending powers of x, and that is how all these formulae of sin x, cos x, e raised to power x have been derived with the help of the Taylor series. If in Taylor series, what do you do is that if you put a is equals to 0, if you put a is equal to 0 in the Taylor series, ultimately what you are getting is that you will be getting a Maclaurin series. You are getting Maclaurin series. If you put a is equals to 0, if you put a equal to 0, it will be f of h. So f of h will be equal to f of 0 plus h f dash of 0 plus h square upon 2 factorial f double dash of 0 and plus so on. So this is what the Maclaurin series is all about. And with the help of Maclaurin series, you can find the expansion of cos x, sin x, clear? You can find the expansion of e raised to power x. And with the help of Taylor series, you can find the expansion of any function about any point. Suppose that in the question it is like this: find the expansion of 10x about pi by 4. 10x about pi by 4, you just put it like this. So it will be equal to, what is this, f of x? F of x is 10x. So you have to find the expansion of 10 of, let us say, x minus pi by 4. You have to find it like this: the expansion of x minus pi by 4. Put a is equals to minus pi by 4. Put a is equals to minus pi by 4. Or if it is find the expansion of 10x plus pi by 4 in the ascending powers of x, what do you have to do? Put x is equals to h here and a is equals to pi by 4 here. You will be getting the answer. No need to worry at all. Clear? So that is how you can solve these types of questions if the questions are there in the examination. After this, we discussed about the mean value theorems. Mean value theorems. The first mean value theorem is the Rolle's mean value theorem. The Rolle's mean value theorem. Okay, so what is the Rolle's mean value theorem? So if some function is like this, where you have the value of this function is equals to, this is your a, this is your b. If f of a is equal to f of b, then there will exist a point c where f dash of c will be equal to 0. This is the Rolle's mean value theorem. What is the Lagrange mean value theorem? If a is not equal to b or f of a is not equal to b, there will be a, you can say there will be a point of c where f dash of c will be equal to 0. That is the Lagrange mean value theorem. Okay, sorry, not f dash of c. F dash of c will be equal to f of b minus f of a divided by f of b minus a. That is the Lagrange mean value theorem. So this is the Rolle's mean value theorem, Lagrange mean value theorem, Lagrange mean value theorem. What does it say? It says that if you have a graph somewhat like this and if we have a curve somewhat like this, okay. Now, if this okay, this is my point, let us say x is equals to a. This is my point, let us say it is x is equals to b. So we have 2 points. There will exist a point where this f dash of c, it can be any point, this point, any point, will be equal to f of b minus f of a divided by b minus a. I told you the, you can say I told you the concept also. So if you draw a tangent at any point, right, like this point, this is my point C, the tangent, the slope of this tangent will be equal to what? It will be equal to the value of this function at b minus the value of this function at a divided by b minus a. At any point you will be getting a, on this curve throughout this b minus a, there will be at least one point C where you will be, which will be satisfying this particular criteria. So this is the Lagrange mean value theorem, the Lagrange mean value theorem. This we also discussed in class 12th also. but since it is in our syllabus, the engineering mathematics syllabus, so I taught you this thing also. Lagrange mean value theorem and the Rolle's mean value theorem. Okay, let us do one thing, students. So I am feeling a little bit tired today because I have been taking class since morning. So let us do one thing. Let us call it a day. And now we will meet tomorrow for the revision session. Till then, you keep on revising the formulae, right? Revising all these formulae, whatever we have discussed. You keep on revising it. So where is it? Plus minus? Yeah, here it is. The plus minus here. So plus. Okay, we have this. Minus, okay, plus, minus, minus, minus. Okay, yeah. Just keep on revising these formulae, dear students, right? So we will meet in the next class. In the next class, we will be further continuing with this topic. So till then, thank you everyone. Keep on revising it. We will meet tomorrow. Okay. So thank you everyone. Bye bye. Take care. Have a good day. Bye bye.